Hey, On the Clock fans, you're listening to another episode with your hosts Raul Lascano and George Martinez as they square off and tackle all of today's hot topics in sports news, trends, current issues happening locally and nationally, as well as highlighting some of our local student athletes across the Sunshine State. Now, welcome your hosts, Raul Lascano and George Martinez. You're on the clock.
Hey, On the Clock fans, man, we got a great show for you today. A couple things we want to go over the weekend. A lot of news coming out of college football. Big Ten looking to cancel their season. So we have Power 5 conferences talking cancellation. We also have the NBA. We want to talk about TJ Warren going off on the Lakers, Damian Lillard beef with Paul George, and we want to tap into Draymond, should he have got fined or not. Joining the show today also, we have a very amazing young man, and I'm going to tell you he's 13 years old, but you're not going to believe me, but we have Christian the Truth Jones, talking financial guru, telling us how to go ahead and be financially sound in 2020. We also have a very, very, very special guest, Larry Blustein, who has a recruiting company who's been helping high school athletes get recruited for the last 50 years and has been doing it for free. It's an amazing show. You don't want to miss it. You're on the clock. So, George, what's going on, man? How are you doing, sir? How was your weekend? How's the family?
Weekend was good, man. I'm tired, exhausted.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. It was my father-in-law's 60th birthday on Friday.
Birthday. Yes, sir.
So shout out to him and happy birthday to him. So we went out to the beach for the last couple of days, hung out as a family, social distance, had a couple beers, that and that, the other, but it was a good time.
Good, man.
Exhausted because, of course, the kids now know how to swim.
Right.
So all they wanted to do,
you're chasing them.
all they wanted to do was swim in the pool the entire time.
Money well spent on those lessons. Yeah. Money well spent. Right.
But it was a good time. Everybody had a good time. Got a little tan in while I was there.
Nice.
How was your weekend?
Man, it was good, man. For the second weekend in a row, which is an anomaly, I have been able to do nothing. So anybody that's a father understands how great that feels to just be laying around. The biggest thing with me is, man, I've chose to not eat meat anymore.
Wow.
So today, Monday, August 10th, it's going to be day 12 of me not eating meat.
Wow. How you feel?
I feel sluggish. I feel slow. I feel like I should be taking something for my brain power or whatever. But I'm gonna do this for 3 months. I got to lose 25 or more pounds. That's what that's my goal.
Let's do it, man.
That's
Let's do it.
So other than that, man, everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. We're just kicking around the house, man. Saw something in college football, man. Something that scared the crap out of me.
Major.
It scared the crap out of me. I read on ESPN, all right, Power 5 conferences talking about no fall football. Could you imagine? Several sources and again, it's on ESPN, indicated the Big Ten presidents, following a meeting on Saturday, are ready to pull the plug. They're ready to pull the plug on fall sports this season. And they wanted to gauge if other commissioners from university presidents, from Power 5 conferences like the ACC, the Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC, they want to see if they fall in line and see if they agree with them, man. What does that mean for college football, bro? What do you think, man? That's insane if they're all done.
That is crazy.
Right?
It's crazy, and I mean 2020 as a whole has already been a crazy year.
It really is.
And now, we're potentially looking at a fall with no sports,
right.
No football, at least college football, which I think if you polled 10 people, they probably tell you they prefer college football over regular football,
right?
Regular NFL football for that matter.
Absolutely.
So in the Big Ten, I mean, they pull in a lot of revenue.
They do, man. And SEC,
a lot of revenue.
I just don't see the SEC saying, yeah, we're done. I mean, I don't see them doing it, but again, I don't know. I have no clue. I know Notre Dame was pretty smart jumping into the ACC and trying to have a season, so they were pretty smart doing that.
They picked the right conference.
They did. They sure did.
Now, do you think? So I know here in high school wise, locally in Tampa, we've talked a little about this potentially happening where there's a tier system and we break off and kind of do our own thing. Do you think, okay, so let's hypothetically speaking, let's say the Big Ten says, all right, we're hanging it up.
Right.
We'll see you guys in 2021.
Right.
SEC says, I want to play football. We're going to just play ourselves and crown our own champ ourselves. ACC says, you know what? That's a good idea. We're going to do the same thing. Could this potentially be the beginning of the end for the NCAA?
I mean, why not? Why not? It's the same 4 freaking teams anyway every year. in the playoff system bracket.
Right.
It's the same 4 teams anyway. Crown somebody else, and then do a playoff out of those crowns, out of those 4 conferences. Whoever's the
And then
champion.
you have like a little March Madness type of style.
Then that's it. Then those you have your playoff. You don't have a committee that does it. You don't do it by whoever wins those 4. Come on, now you 4 freaking go play it out and see what happens. Because every year it's who? It's Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson. And now LSU,
some random guy,
and then some random. Then yeah, exactly. They do some random stuff. LSU, this past year got in there, but you're right. There'll be some random. Notre Dame will be ranked freaking 5th for the first 8 weeks for whatever reason that is,
and then barely hang on the top 22 ranking at the end.
Then they drop as soon as they play somebody, and then but it happens every year. So it might be, man. We'll see how it goes. I hope there's some type of season. They're gonna have to put something together film wise for the NFL. They got to. There's there's no way they got to get around that, but we'll see how that comes about and goes around. Other thing happened this weekend, man. NBA. Did you watch any games by any chance?
I did. I did.
I told you last week on the podcast. I told you those Lakers. When I saw that, you told me no, they're just taking off. They won the conference, bro. They look. They're
looking rough,
bro. They looking sweet right now. Like in the sense of they're soft right now.
Well, and I'm a stat guy, so I'm gonna give you some stats.
Sure.
The Lakers actually rank in the bottom 5.
Really?
In every offensively statistic category.
So funny.
Since the bubble started.
Right.
Okay. They're averaging a mere 96 points a game, which puts them like 26 in the league.
Jesus Christ.
Their offensive efficiency's down.
Yeah.
They're giving up points on defense. They're giving up transition. And now you have LeBron set out a couple games with the growing. Right, AD. I know we were talking about AD earlier in the show.
Yeah, man.
Before we jumped on, he didn't look.
And did you see the Pacers? I'm gonna jump it. TJ Warren for the Pacers. Now he's been on fire since he's been in this bubble.
He has,
but he annihilated the Lakers. Now again, when you look at the minutes, and I'm looking at the minutes of the Pacers, I'm like, okay, everybody played some big minutes here. I mean, everybody did. We're talking 37 for TJ Warren. Holiday played 35. I cannot pronounce this man's name to save my life. Oladipo.
Oh, yeah. Victor Oladipo.
There you go. Depot. 35 minutes. So they all played a lot of minutes. You look at the Lakers, LeBron and AD, they're the only 2 that played 35 minutes. Everybody else, 13, 27, 16. That's it. They didn't do anything else. Now, points-wise, for Anthony Davis to finish the game with 8 points, you got to be kidding me. How
many shots did he have? He probably had like 19 shots.
From the field goal, he was 3 for 14.
3 for 14. There you go.
3 for 14.
Man, that's a rough day.
He had 8 rebounds and 4 assists, and that was about it. LeBron was 13 for 24 field goals, and let me see here. He had 31 points when he finished the night. Man. So he put in work still with that sore groin.
Do you think that, because I was reading LeBron had an interview after one of the games, and he was asked about, how does it feel not playing with any fans?
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? It feels different. That juice that you normally get from the crowd, you're not getting it. And he's, you go on a 14-0 run, crowd's behind you, you're pumped. It's a playoff, type of atmosphere. Basically, this is a glorified scrimmage.
It really is. And that's why I feel they should do it like baseball. They should do it like baseball. Baseball has a crowd screaming and yelling. They even have
the entire time.
They even have when the guy's on deck or he's coming up to the plate, they announce him. They still announce him. So I'm not saying that you have to announce, you still do the announcements or whatever in the beginning of the game, but as the game's going on, freaking the audio guys got to have something.
Yeah, I argue with that. Even golf did it. Today, I was watching the final round of golf, and one of the leaders teed off on 17, and you would have thought there was 100,000 people there. Because all you heard was, people screaming and clapping.
Right.
It was a great tee shot. But you would have thought there was people there as I'm sitting on the couch watching this. At an NBA game, again, I can hear LeBron telling the guy to rotate. I can hear AD.
You can hear the bench.
You can hear the bench. You can hear the coach yelling on the basketball court. So I completely agree. I think for sure there needs to be something audio-wise that's done to help these guys get in that atmosphere. Because, again, they're going to start looking like you, like they haven't had meat in 12 days. They're going to start looking more sluggish because they feed
off of that.
Now, I'm not saying that's the excuse for LeBron and AD because, your boy Damian Lillard hasn't had that problem at all. Guy's been on fire.
Damian Lillard, and I hate to say this, Damian Lillard is truly got beef with everybody in the NBA. He has beef with. This dude on Instagram was going back and forth with Paul George and Beverly, which was, for fans were like, oh, this is hilarious. But for him, it looks personal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it for sure is. And I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read it to you here.
Please do.
So he said, asking me about Patrick Beverly, who I sent home before at the end of the game. Paul George, who just got sent home by me last in the playoffs. They know. So then Paul George decided to clap back at him a little bit.
Right.
And Paul George says, and you're getting sent home this year. Respect.
Right. And Beverly said Cancun on 3. What?
Send his ass in Cancun.
See you later. And they ended up beating him. He missed 2 clutch free throws to win the game, and he missed both. I mean, just barely kissed the rim, and he missed them. And of course, they went on him on the bench, laughing on those videos everywhere. So you had that going, and also in the NBA, you had freaking Draymond Green get fined $50,000.
$50K
for what the league said tampering. So I'm gonna give you two. Because speaking of Damian Lillard, this is gonna help you. Speaking of Damian Lillard, this is gonna transition to very well. Listen, I want you to listen to what he got fined for. Okay, I'm gonna play it. Here it is.
4-0 so far. It's great to see Book playing well and Phoenix playing well, but get my man out of Phoenix. It's not good for him. It's not good for his career. Sorry, Chuck. But they got to get Book out of Phoenix. I need my man to go somewhere where he can play great basketball all the time and win because he's that type of player.
Are you tampering?
Maybe.
Are you tampering? Maybe.
Damn.
So
someone led him into that.
That was such a loaded freaking. Yeah, they got this man fined for. And again, I know he's got it in his pockets, but still, man.
50 G's is 50 G's, man.
50 exactly. What's that old saying? $20 is $20.
Yeah, 50 G's is 50 G's.
Yeah, I don't care what you say. So it's funny that he gets fined for that. But when LeBron James was playing for Cleveland, I'm not a LeBron James hater. I'm just saying, if we're going to keep it consistent, let's keep it consistent. LeBron James says this about Damian Lillard when he was at Cleveland. I'll play that for you.
Damian Lillard, I'll show you how appreciated it'll be.
Give me Damian Lillard. I'll show you how appreciated it'll be.
And that's more tampering than what Draymond said. Because Draymond didn't say come
he
to Golden State.
Right.
He just said put this man on a platform that A, he can be watched nationally, and B, give him a chance to win.
That's what
That's
I'm saying.
all he said. So LeBron's like, hey, come play with me. I appreciate you.
Basically what he was telling him.
I'll show you appreciation.
I'll show you appreciation. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Draymond gets that. Don't get me wrong. I think the NBA loves finding Draymond Green. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes, they do.
Some of them, now, I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth. Some of it is very warranted, so he deserves it. But damn, all he said was this man deserves to go to a better team. So now that's tampering? He didn't say come to Golden State. Me and Clay and freaking Steph would love you here. He didn't say nothing like that.
No.
But he gets fined 50 G's.
50 G's, man.
50 G's, man.
If it was 5,000, maybe 10,000, like whatever.
Right.
I don't take it that serious. But 50 G's is 50 G's, man.
It's a lot of money, bro.
And I don't think it was tampering until they brought out the fact, are you tampering?
Oh. Thanks a lot.
That's a point. Adam Silver,
right?
The commissioner said, "All right, we got to find him."
Got to now.
Somebody else thought it was tampering too.
Right.
We got to do it.
We got to. And thanks, Kenny and Chuck.
Send him the slip.
Kenny and Chuck should split the bill. And they should, all three of those guys should split the bill and pay for that man's $50,000. It's crazy.
Especially Chuck, because Chuck was like, "No, I don't want him leaving Phoenix. Right. That's my team. No, that's tampering."
Yeah, that's tampering. So now you got.
He probably sent the audio.
He probably did.
Good commissioner.
I mean,
saying, you better get him.
I'm sure the commissioner was watching
him this year.
Yeah.
He hasn't been fine in a while. Go ahead and find him
Golden
now.
State's not in the bubble. We got to find a way to get Draymond. So consistently for the last 7 years, Draymond has gotten fined at least once a year. It's crazy.
He's donated at least $100,000 a year.
Right. He's
This
helping
year,
make a
he
wish
was on
fund.
pace to be way below that.
Absolutely. And that's
So like, all right, we gotta get him one big time here. We gotta get him. We gotta show him.
well, got him for tampering. It's not a shot to the nuts like you did to the other guy, but it's a shot to Draymond's nuts. We're going to get that 50 G's. So there you go.
We're gonna glorify LeBron.
All right.
And say, you know what? Maybe LeBron has a point. Maybe he should play with Damian Lillard.
It's messed up, man. It's messed
We're gonna
up.
say, why would Draymond even say that? That's the world we live in, my friend.
It is. It's messed up, and I hope I know Draymond's got the money. Hey, on the clock,
Now-
fans, don't go anywhere. Oh, go ahead.
You're good.
I'm going to cut it all out anyway.
I know.
Hey, on the clock, fans, don't go out anywhere. Don't
Don't go out anyway.
wear your mask.
Please wear your mask.
Hey, on the clock, fans,
Which, by the way,
Yeah,
hold
go
on, hold on. As you're saying this, we're gonna cut this out anyways.
Yeah.
Did you know what I was going to say? Did you know New Zealand just crossed 100 days without a positive COVID test?
Oh, no, I did not know that.
New Zealand just crossed. Today was the day 100th
Wow.
that they did not have a positive COVID test. Somehow they're fucking doing that shit wrong.
So-
Or doing that shit right.
What are we doing?
We don't
Well,
have a president.
yeah, we
Or
have-
they don't have President Trump.
Never
so.
mind. Never mind. Question asked, question answered.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
You're good. You're good.
Segment.
Hey, on the clock, fans, don't go anywhere. We got a special guest with you. We have Christian the Truth Jones. You want to listen to this young man, 13 years old, made $78,000 on one of his investments, just one of them, and he's giving these classes out. You don't want to miss it. You're on the clock. Hey, On the Clock fans, you can check us out on all social media platforms by searching On the Clock Radio. You don't want to miss it, especially go to our website, otcsportstalk.com. We have merch up there in the store. You can order whatever you want. We got everything for the kiddos. We got everything for the husband. We got everything for wives as well. Go ahead and follow us. Hit like, leave comments, rate all that we want. We know you're going to love it. You're on the clock.
All right, so next up on the show, we have a very special guest, a very dear, good friend of mine. We have The Truth joins the show. How you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
Good, man. I'm glad you're able to join the show. I know you're a busy guy, doing all the trading and stock investments and giving people advice and financial literacy. I want to ask you, man, how are you doing? How's the family doing? Are you guys staying safe during this pandemic?
I'll say I'm doing great. My family is doing great. We have, I can say, been doing better than most people as far as the pandemic and handling the whole situation. Mostly staying busy, stay working. I'm really just trying to improve our weaknesses and everything that we can improve, because you always have room for growth.
That's right, man. And so for the audience that doesn't know who The Truth is, tell us about your background. What is it that you do? What do you specialize in? And how are you making a difference for the common person?
Sure. So, again, my name is Christian the Truth Jones. I am an international certified Les Brown speaker, international best-selling author. I'm the CEO of Return on Investment, and I show people how to successfully invest and day trade in the stock market. And as far as my services for the common person, that would be it right there, as far as investing and trading, which will really just allow financial freedom and the freedom of not having to really worry about where your next paycheck or source of income is going to come from.
That's crazy, man.
That's amazing. Half that stuff I have no idea how to do it when even at my age, man. That's truly amazing. It's a blessing, man.
So let the people know, educate them. How old are you? And really, what made you get into this?
So currently I'm 13 years old. I'm going to the 8th grade. And as far as how I got into it, it was actually a video a couple years back around the time I used to play with you, I believe. Yeah, I was 9 years old around the time. So I remember I saw a video of a 14-year-old. Well, he was 14 at the time, or at the time of the video. And he had made $50,000 off buying Nike stock. So like anybody, I wanted to learn, of course, how he did it. So I began asking my mom if she could teach me how to invest in the stock market and do what he did. She did not take me seriously at first and thought I was just saying it and really wasn't serious about learning the skill. So she kind of blew me off.
And moms will do that, man. So I'm glad you kept pushing on it.
So since she blew me off, I decided to do my own research. And I came back to her after doing my research and told her I want to open up my brokerage account. A brokerage account is the account you use in order to invest and trade in the stock market. So when I came back to her and told her that, then she saw that I was actually serious about learning the skill, because I actually went out and did the work for myself. So at the time, she did know a little bit about investing and didn't know how to make money off of it, but she really didn't get in depth into it. So we decided to take the course together. And initially, we were taking it together, but I kind of fell off because 8, 9 years old, didn't really understand what he was talking about. So once she finished up the rest of the course, she came back to me and basically, broke down all the information that we learned in the course to the point where I can understand it.
That's crazy, man. So since then, now it's kind of exploded. I know, IG, a few months ago, you were getting started with it and you had 700, 1,300 followers. As of this morning, let the people know. I want you to tell them where your IG's at, because when I saw this morning, I was like, man, just like that. How's your followers right now?
So right now, I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to say around 16.9 thousand.
And you say that so humbly. That's great, man.
Man, 16,000 people are following you because it's got to be because of your product.
And actually the return, right, from what they're getting and when they invest in stocks. They must be seeing a good return.
Right. So it's got to be because of the advice you're providing. It's got to be because of the guidance and help and financial literacy that you're providing these individuals, because that's self-promotion. If it doesn't work, people aren't going to follow. Right. So talk a little about, because you have certifications, and I know you mentioned earlier that you're a certified motivational speaker. What made you go down these paths and get these certifications to be a motivational speaker?
I would say, as far as what motivated me to become a motivational speaker, it was actually when me and my mom, again, this all ever happened around the same time. So within a year or 2 years. So we went to a Let's Get Motivated seminar while still in Florida. And at that seminar, one of the speakers was Mr. Les Brown. And I remember when I saw Mr. Brown that night, just the way he spoke and really just flowed, and the way he delivered his speech, it was just so powerful. And I knew at that moment, I wanted to become a motivational speaker, become similar to him. So I remember I told my mom at that moment that I wanted to become a motivational speaker. And unbeknownst to me, about a year later, I actually got to meet Mr. Brown at his now defunct Les Brown Institute. So that was a great opportunity. I actually got to speak on the same stage as Mr. Brown as well. So that's how I got my whole journey, as far as how I got into not only the certification for it, but also got to meet and speak on the same stage as him.
Yeah, and that's got to be inspiring to you to be up there with someone that's a mentor to you, that's someone you look up to, as you're growing up, and be on the same stage with them and being able to talk side by side with them. That's got to be pretty exciting. Now, I know, our relationship started back in the day when you were 8, 9 years old. You were playing football for the T-Birds. Shout out to the T-Birds out there in St. Pete. And we were playing in the All-Star game together. And you moved from there. I know you spent some time over in Germany.
Yep.
How was that time in Germany? I know you were telling me before the show started that there's no speed limits. It is a crazy driving situation there. How was that experience like?
I remember initially I didn't want to go, but we did end up going there. I remember when we first got there, we initially stayed in a hotel. We eventually got our house settled. I would say just living over there in Germany, it was definitely a very unique experience, and something that I'm happy I did end up going through or going to do in my life. I'm just seeing a different perspective, and just seeing a different culture that I probably wouldn't have experienced had I not moved at that time. So I would say living in Germany was definitely a unique experience. Again, with the speed limits, that was a little surprising.
Oh yeah, I was 15 years in the military, so I got to experience Germany. I only got to visit for about a week, and yeah, it was an eye opener watching everybody go 190 miles an hour on a highway. I was stationed in England, which if you think 190 miles an hour is crazy, watch people drive on the opposite side of the road that are way too small. These roads are made for Honda Civics, right? But I was watching on Instagram. I know you play football over in Kentucky. It's a little bit different, but you're playing football in Kentucky, so congratulations. But I also saw that you took up boxing, man, that you're starting to move around, and I love watching it, and I love watching the feet work, the hand. What made you get into boxing, man?
So what got me into boxing was actually, ironically, from football. Remember last year, like you said, I did play football, and one of my teammates, he boxed. So he kind of got me started and wanted to box as well. And around the time, his dad had just opened a gym when the football season was ending. So I remember first day I went to his gym, started to get a little workout in. I mostly did it, to work out initially, but now I am planning on to compete, and I've been boxing for about 5 to 6 months now. But yeah, it's definitely been fun.
That's crazy, man. So you're boxing, you went in Germany, now you're in Kentucky, you're playing football, you're giving people advice on how to grow wealth and establish wealth. Something you and I were talking about offline was financial literacy is not something that's really harped on or educated a lot on in our school system. What are your thoughts around that? And what would be almost a proposal, I guess, to our school system across the country to implement some type of literacy program to help our young students as they transition on through adulthood?
I would say a financial literacy program for students would be, I would say, investing. Not only investing, but also real estate, credit, taxes, all of that, but mostly a skill that I believe all people should learn, because it's a skill that can help you create passive income and allow you to make more money off the money you're already making. Like an example would be, let's say I own a business, right?
Right.
And I make $500. Now I can take half of that $500, so $250, and put that in the stock market, flip it, and now I have another $500. So it really allows you to be able to grow, I guess you'd say, your lifestyle. And it also really just allows you different types of freedom and changes your mindset from a consumer-based mindset into one investor's mindset. Instead of, let me give you one example, the chicken wars. So I remember, August of 2019, between Popeyes and Chick-fil-A. So everybody was raving about chicken wars. Little did they know, Tyson shot up because everybody gets their chicken from Tyson, and Tyson is a publicly traded company, which means it's part of the stock market. So seeing this as an investor, we would know. So there's big things going on in the news. Everybody gets their, chicken from Tyson. So boom, I'm going to invest and trade, Tyson and make my money. So you just have that different type of mindset, and you see things from a different perspective.
Yeah, a lot of times everybody thinks about what they see as, okay, let me invest in Popeye's chicken, but they don't realize where they get the material from is really what the investment is about, because that's what's really going to rise, because now the demand has gone up, the revenue is going up for that company, therefore the price per share is going to increase because their valuation is going to change now.
See, and that's all stuff that people need to learn. That's freaking awesome. Hey, let me ask you this. So what are some of those things that you provide through your website? We were looking at it earlier, and we saw like a gold, a bronze, silver packages. What are some of those things that you provide? Because we want people to help themselves get into financial freedom.
So as far as my different packages, here they are. So I guess you could say my lowest end package, it is just basic investing. It's called Stocks 101. Like I said, it is just basic investing. It really shows you not only how to invest, but how to find those companies so you know what to invest into. I know a lot of courses, you might learn the skills and the terminology and all of that, but you still don't know what company in which to invest into. So it helps you break down that process and find those great companies so you can know where to put your money into. Then I have my, I want to say kids course, because some of them might be older. Some of my clients are older than me. So I guess you could say my peers course, where I do teach, my peers on how to trade in the stock market. That course is $279. And then the stocks course that I just talked about before is basically, if you round it, $100. It's really just $97. And then you have, I just said, my third course. It's called Black Wealth Matters, or BWM. And in that course, you get everything you get in Stocks 101 course, so investing, all of that. You also learn how to swing trade options. And for those of you that might not know what swing trading is one of the 4 trading strategies. It allows you to make passive income in the stock market, and even make more money than you would from investing. So that is a strategy that I teach. And in that course, it's 8 weeks long, because as far as the online portion, it's 8 weeks. So you'll have immediate access to that once you sign up. And then we also have a private Facebook group. And in that Facebook group, we do Sunday coaching calls. And on those coaching calls, it really just allows you to ask questions and making sure you're understanding the information. Not learning, but understanding to the point where you could go out and teach it yourself. And as far as the Sunday coaching calls, that will last for 4 weeks. And you have, last but not least, I guess you could say, my master course, the Truth Success Series. And basically everything I just talked about and the other courses you get in there, you also will learn what's called technical analysis, which is how to read the charts. Also cover calls, day trading, scalping. Those are 2 different types of strategies that you will learn in there as well. It also learns 5 separate strategies. That course is 16 weeks long. We'll also have a live trading room and weekly alerts. And we also do the Sunday coaching calls as well, which you can continue getting on for a year. So again, allows you to really ask questions, and anything that you might be going through as far as your trading journey, we can get covered up in there, or any obstacles you might have or going through, we'll break them down.
Yeah, so when you really think about it, all the options you have, like, yeah, there's a cost to it, but think about how quickly, and this for the listeners who are listening to the show, how quickly you make that money up and pays for itself, right? With the strategies and the stock buying and the covered calls and those kind of things, you quickly can make your money back and then some, right, along the way. So let us know, what's a website people can find you on? What are your social media handles? How can they get in touch with The Truth?
So if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to my Instagram. I'm trying to get to that 17K if I'm not at it already, at The Truth 2024, again, on Instagram. And then my website is thetruthjones.com.
Let me write all this down right now. I need all those classes, definitely.
Yeah, so make sure you hit him up and follow the young man. He's providing great advice. And, yeah, right now you're at 16.9, so you're right there. After this episode drops, we'll definitely get you to that 17K and get you moving forward.
Definitely get you that 17K. And if you want, shoot some over at our side, too, so we can have a little bit of that. But I wish you well, man. Thank you so much for taking the time with us. I know you're a busy man with boxing and trading. Just make sure you hit us up. And anytime you want to jump on, this is your show, so you're allowed to, man. Hey, On the Clock fans, make sure we stick around here. We got a great guest for you, a man that's been recruiting in the state of Florida and helping get kids recruited. Larry Blustein joins the show, so you don't want to miss a thing. You're On the Clock.
All right, On the Clock fans, if you're ever in the Lutz area looking for somewhere to go, grab a bite to eat, sit down with the family, make sure you visit our friends over at Panini's Bar and Grill. They're located at 3973 Van Dyke Road in Lutz, Florida. They're the home of the overstuffed sandwich. They got options: turkey, cheesesteak, salami, roast beef, corned beef. You're not going to want to miss it. Again, visit our website, paninisgrill.com. You're On the Clock.
I'm ready for it.
All right, On the Clock. Next up, we have Larry Blustein on the show. Larry, welcome. How are you doing?
Great, George. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you.
I'm excited to be on with you and Raul, and I couldn't wait for this. I even called you guys earlier today just to make sure I was going to be out.
Yep. And like I was telling you, I love what you're doing on Twitter. That's how I started doing it. I'm the recruiting coordinator at Jefferson, and I've been pushing out all kinds of stuff. And you're the first one to ever retweet anything I ever put out there. And when I started reading the bio, I was like, man, over 50 years of promoting high school athletes. I mean, that's just, how did you get started doing that? And I can imagine it's completely transitioned from then to now, right?
Well, I was in high school, and a friend of mine, I played baseball, and a friend of mine played on the football team, and really good, and he just couldn't find any place to go. And back then, this was like in the 70s, middle 70s, and he had asked me, he says, hey, anybody that, maybe we could send a video to? And the videos aren't like they are now. This was, I don't know, you guys are too young to remember, but they were big reel-to-reels, big, huge things with the not just a one player on it, but the entire team.
Right.
So, I think it cost me like $11 or $12 to send that out. I sent it to UT Martin. Back then, they were a Division II school. Now they're Division I school. But I sent it to a coach that I had met. And he looked at it, and then all of a sudden, the kid's mom calls my mom like about 2 weeks later. She goes, "I don't know what your son did, but he got us an opportunity to go to school." And Donnell went up there, and that's how I got started. And ever since then, I just try to help people get placed. I go to a lot. See, that's the one thing I learned how to do this from just doing it. When I started, there was no cell phones and there was no computers. There was nothing. So you had to do everything to do it. You had to go. You look at all these camps. I go to every camp. I never missed a sling and shoot at USF since the day they started.
Wow.
When Renato Diaz, who was an assistant coach there, and they were working out of a trailer where the softball field is now. There was a big trailer there, and I started that. And Coach Levitt asked me if I could get a couple of teams from South Florida to come up, and I did. And ever since then, that thing has grown into the premier event. I love love that thing. And I go to Tallahassee, I go to Gainesville, Orlando. I'm everywhere. And living in South Florida, you have Miami and FIU, you have FAU, and then you have a lot of the smaller schools. So I've been able to do this. But the one thing that I always tell people, they go, wow, you do a lot of this stuff. I said, well, that's how I learned. I learned, I didn't have a cell phone. I had to use the old pay phones like your parents had probably used, and I, and that's how I did it. You'd have to call up. You'd have to actually go to see an athlete, which is refreshing because most of these people look at film now and they'll sit in their house and they'll start making assessments on the kid. When if you really know all about recruiting, the talent is easy to spot. I mean, anybody could see that. It's character that kind of rips you can get a kid that runs a 4.4 or is 6'2", 250, but if he doesn't have a good character and he rips away at the team, then he's not that good. So that's how I learned, and I've been doing it ever since. And this whole COVID thing has kind of really crushed me because I'm not one of those guys who lives by the computer. I'm the one that goes to these events and eyeballs the kids and talks to people and sees up to almost parts of 100 games a year. So
wow, 100 games a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, living in South Florida, you got to remember too. We have a lot of places in Miami-Dade County don't have stadiums, so they'll play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and they'll play morning, they'll play afternoons, they'll play evening. So you get a chance to see a bunch of games, and then you go over. I've been to Tampa for games, in Orlando and Jacksonville, so I travel a lot. And whenever I make a plan, like if I go see Jefferson, let's say Jefferson's at home, I'll see if Hillsboro's at home because they're not that far. You go down the road, 15 minutes or so, and you're at another game. So you get to see 4 teams in a span of 3 hours.
Well, if you ever make that trip back to Tampa, you got to let us know.
I will.
And we'll give you the full red carpet treatment.
Awesome.
When you come through. And you mentioned, I didn't have the reels, so I know you said the film was on the reels. The struggle that I had trying to send out recruitment because the kids today, and I hate to sound like that, but like the kids today, like you can literally, be in your bedroom, make a highlight reel, send it to 200 schools, and you're good. I had to go to Eckerd's with my mom to make copied VHSs at like $25 a pop. My mom hated it. She did not like doing it. She's like, this sucks. I'm like, well, I'm trying to leave.
At least you paid some dues, the people of today don't have to because now you have the MP3s and you have things that as soon as the game's over, my friend Charles Fishbein, who does Elite Scouting, he has a service called Verge, and as soon as that game is over, they're in every box of every coach that you have there, and they broke them down for defense, offense, and if you want, they'll be sent by player to every school that player wants. So
really,
what was that?
Yeah, what was that again?
It's called Verge. Yeah, Verge. I'll have him get in touch with you because it's a real good system, and it's amazing. I mean, but that's how it's come, and it's kind of that's why when I see these these websites and these fan websites who start making assessments on kids and they don't ever see them, you don't really know. That's what I'm saying, and that's why like a UCF or a USF or a Florida State or a Florida camp or a Miami camp, you get to see especially at a 7-on-7. If you go to both sessions of Sling and Shoot, you see 70 schools.
Right.
I mean, that's amazing, and and you get to see them. They come from as far south as Naples, and they go maybe up into the Gainesville area because once you shoot on 75, it's only about an hour and a half to Gainesville, so it's not that far. So you get a chance to see all those schools. Same thing with UCF. You get a chance to see all those schools up in Jacksonville and St. Augustine and along the Treasure Coast and the Space Coast, and like you had mentioned, Palm Bay, and you get a chance to see Vieira and schools like that where you wouldn't normally. And then if you go to South Florida camp, or even if you go to a Florida State camp, you get a chance to see schools in the Panhandle, and you get a chance to see Georgia and Mississippi. See, living in South Florida, when you talk about 4 hours, you get to Tampa. if you live in Tallahassee, in 4 hours, you're in Georgia, you're in Mississippi,
Right.
you're in, in
And
Alabama.
it also depends if you're in Tampa, the traffic here, and I'm sure South Florida is horrible.
Yeah,
you can still be driving around for 4 hours and not make it to your house. In Tampa
you just got to know when to leave,
Right.
And you got, I mean, if I live in the north, but near Fort Lauderdale, so if I was going to go down to a game in South Miami, you'd have to leave at 3 o'clock, because
Right.
if not, if you hit that 4 o'clock traffic, it could be like 2-3 hours before you ever get to the destination.
That's rough. God bless Verge then for us being able to see the film.
Yes.
That's awesome, sir. That's awesome.
Huddle's done a great job too, and
Yeah.
God, that's a godsend too, because back then, as you guys are alluding to, I mean, you would have to you'd have to sit there with your mom in the parking lot while they'd make all those dub off some copies for you.
Yes.
Now you don't have to do that.
Right, and it took like 35 to 40 minutes to make the copy, and then
No doubt.
Then you
no
got the
doubt.
2 double recorders, and you're like, okay, I picked the ball off in minute 18. Let me rewind and click it back.
Yeah,
it took a while. It did take a while.
I feel it, man. I know what you've been through. So I've walked in those shoes before, so I understand.
Yep.
Now, one of the things I want to ask you, Larry, is what are some of the tips that you have for these youngsters that are preparing those huddle films to get out to college? What advice do you have for them to create a quality? Because a lot of times, I know you've seen a bunch of them.
Right.
You try to prepare the kids with them. A lot of that video quality, with the stuff the kids choose to put on there, they don't really get the advice that they need to get on.
Yeah.
What should they put on? Especially, it should be 2 minutes long. But talk to us through what are some tips you have for these youngsters as they get ready to make these huddle films?
Pick out your good plays, obviously. The music those people turn off the volume. That's crazy. I mean, that's good. That's good for graduation. It's good for stuff like that, at the end of the year banquets and stuff. But those coaches don't want to see that. And I always tell the kids, don't be a pain in the butt. Send it midway through, I say after 5 games. Send it at the end and send it after spring.
Right.
And that's it, 3 times. If you keep sending it and you haven't heard anything, you become a pain.
Right.
And they don't, you got to understand when to move on. And then when you're picking out a school, everybody wants to go to a major school, but be realistic. I mean, if your lifelong ambition was to go to Florida State, that's nice. But if you really don't have that skill level, you're wasting your time. You're actually wasting valuable time, because you could be plugging into a UCF, or you could even to Warner, Weber. We have now 11 NAIA schools in the state.
Yep.
We have a national champion Division II team in Pensacola in West Florida. Coach Shinnick has done an awesome job. We still have, we lost Florida Tech, unfortunately, just too costly, and Jacksonville University, which are 2 good outlets. But you have FAM, you have Bethune-Cookman. You still have a lot of those programs that are still viable. Stetson, really, really good program. And I just think that I would look to stay in Florida first, and then if you exhaust everything, start going out. But don't send away 1,000 of them, because it's just not good.
Right.
Just can't make, because then it doesn't become sincere. You're just trying to, look for anything, and you got to kind of look at the school, what it offers, because God forbid you should get hurt or something. You have to have something to fall back on. You just can't, we were talking about that today on another thing that I was doing, that how everybody's talking about when is the start of this, when is the start of that. Well, what about the start of getting kids in the classroom?
Right.
See, to me, those kids have really been cooped up, and it's not healthy. I mean, they got to get some interaction, even if they go back 2-3 days a week and then distance learn the rest of the way.
Right.
It's at least it's healthy. You got to have that interaction. You have those friends. You have the teachers. You like to look them at in the eyeball once in a while. So that's what I concentrate on, and then everything starts falling back into place.
Right, because again, you can have, you mentioned earlier, you can be a 4'4" athlete, 6'5", and if character's not there, because I've had recruiters talk to the lunch lady, they're talking to the janitor, they're talking about, hey, what does he like in school? What does he do? Who does he hang out with? It goes into a lot of it. And I tell my guys all the time, like, look, when you're picking out of college, be realistic. I'll be honest, with Kaiser University, when I've heard that they have a football team, I kind of like chuckled a little bit, like, wait a minute, I thought they were just known for nursing, but they have a football team? And they're like, yeah, you can play football. And I told my guys the same thing. Try branching here in Florida, then hit Georgia, work your way up to South Carolina, work your way out. But every school like that we have, they have them here in other states as well. You just don't have to go Miami, Florida, FSU. Go to the school that's going to fit you, because when you go there, and the season's over, you have to remember you're going to be up there for the remainder of the second half of the semester.
Exactly.
You want to go somewhere
That's a
you know
great
you can
point,
live.
Coach.
You know what I mean? You can stay there. You can live there, and you feel comfortable in the area. That's somewhere you want to. You got to try to build into where you want to go. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah,
I
you're
agree
on
with you.
point, Raul. That's exactly, and that's why a lot of these kids that go to school in North Dakota and kids that go to school in Iowa, I always tell them, I said, listen, outside of that, August to December, you still got 6 below zero getting up to,
Yep.
you got it's going to be a culture shock. A lot of those towns aren't advanced where you come from. Remember, Tampa, St. Pete, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, they're all major metropolis.
Right.
And you got to understand that, places like St. Joseph, Missouri doesn't have all that stuff. They don't have the culture, and you want to be able to blend in. So make sure you make the college decision based on everything. You just can't do it on the football program because, outside you want to have some social life, and if you don't blend in socially, then you kind of wasting your time. It's going to be kind of a terrible experience for you. So make it where it's going to be a well-rounded experience, and that's what I tell the kids all the time.
Absolutely. In the Midwest and up north schools, just so you know, if you're an athlete listening to this, bones don't break in the cold. They shatter.
Yeah.
They don't really break. They shatter when it's very, very cold in Montana. So, you're absolutely
that comfortable
right.
AstroTurf, that comfortable synthetic turf becomes like a concrete.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to understand that. But I think that the kids, if they listen, most of them don't. But I mean, because they know all. They have all the answers.
Know all, yeah.
Yeah, but they have to start listening because now, in this COVID era, it's going to be a lot different. There's going to be less of everything now. We saw that UConn dropped football for the year. I think you're going to see that at a lot of other schools. I think BYU may do the same. They don't have financially, they just can't afford it. So I think that the kids are going to have less of a margin to work with now, and you got to get it done in the classroom, because if you don't, you might as well not even try, because now the door is narrowing now.
Yeah.
It's not going to be wide open. These coaches are not going to have the leeway that they used to have to get you in. So you're going to have to make it awfully attractive for them.
I agree with you.
What is some advice you have for these young? So right now during COVID, obviously there's not a whole lot of interaction going on with schools. We're all in a weird, awkward stage right now with COVID.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for these kids, especially as we're all watching the news, we're all plugged into what's going on, and football potentially getting delayed or potentially getting pushed into 2021? What do you tell some of these kids right now? What can they do to still try to achieve that goal of playing at the next level?
Do what they've been doing, because you guys are on social media. You see the kids; they're grinding, they're lifting, they're doing cardio, they're doing a lot of things. They're throwing the ball with a few of them, not a whole team. Stay away. I know that I keep saying it, and it's a kind of a pet peeve with me. But stay away from these camps and these combines this time of year.
Right.
They do nothing for you. College coaches aren't looking at the stuff. You're wasting your time. You're jeopardizing the start of the season, because if you can't. That's the one thing I keep telling people. I have a talk with a lot of the guys around the state that do events, and they're on board. You can't run these combines. A couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, FBU had an event in Naples. It drew 970 people. Wow. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. What is that? Right. I mean, you're giving yourself no chance. Hardly anybody was wearing a mask. They don't wear them. It's kind of tough to do it for these kids. They're not. They know everything, but where they may not get the disease, they could transmit it to other people. Right. And we see it. I mean, so be smart. You could work on your own. You could lift on your own. If you're a quarterback, you can grab a couple of receivers. You can wear your mask. You could bring some hand sanitizer with you. Bring your own water bottles. Just be safe. Think. These kids aren't stupid. You could think. Think for your own, because your future's at stake. And that's the one thing that I keep telling these kids. You know what? If you screw up, this could be your parents, especially a lot of parents don't have jobs right now, and they're out of work. If they're not collecting unemployment, they're on lower wage scales. So how are they going to afford to send you to college? They're not. So you gotta kind of assist in this whole thing. You got to grow up. Like my buddy says, put on your big boy pants, because this is a time to do it, because you got to help out. This whole entire process is all about you, because everybody's bending over backwards for you, your coaches, your parents, your friends. They're all trying to make it for you, but you got to be assisting this process. And when I think truthfully, guys, that you have to be proactive and listen, whether you believe it or not that you can get it, or anybody around you can get the disease, just just ignore that fact and act like you can, because you never know who has a compromised immune system. Even kids, you don't know how many kids can get sick, and if you do, you put your teammates in jeopardy, you put your coaches in jeopardy, because you guys have been doing this a while. There's a lot of coaches in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s. So they're older, they're susceptible to it. So think about them too, because those are because if there's no coaches, there's not going to be any team.
I agree. And with you being in South Florida, what are you? Are they even thinking about? Yeah, right. With them thinking, are they even thinking about football down there at all? We talked to Rod Mack, Miami Garden Ravens president down there. Great guy. We talked to him on the podcast, he was telling us like he doesn't even know if youth football is a possibility of it being happening.
They're not playing any youth football. There's one league that's still an outlier, but I think they're going to fold it up, because what's going to happen inevitably, you got all these good leagues that are not going to play this year, and then you're going to see if one league stays open, all those kids from the other league are going to start going to that league. And and all those kids that thought that they were going to play for that other league that won't have a chance. So no, I think they shut it all down. Yeah, Rod's good people. I covered Rod back in the day at high school at Monsignor Pace and at the University of Miami. Good people. But yeah, no, it's right now they're thinking about it. But I think now that the FHSAA's gotten the people in Miami-Dade so angry, I think that they're really, really thinking, especially for this year, pulling out for football and not going to worry about a state championship. Just try to get 7-8 games. I proposed a start of January the 4th, with the January 18th being kickoff classics and the 25th being being the regular season. Play a 10-week, 8-game schedule, and then at the end, if these teams like a Northwestern and a St. Thomas want to play a bowl game against each other, or a Central and a Deerfield Beach want to hook up, they could do that, because it's just not going to. It's just not realistic that they're going to be able to play a full season. It's just really not. I mean, because they're not going to be able to travel. You got to think too that now they're talking about buses. Maybe that the kids are going to have to play like youth football type of rules and have to show up in a car, because if you go in a bus, you're breathing the same air and all that. So I mean, they're making it that where especially after games, where the kids will take their leave the pads and the helmet there and just take everything else and take it home and have mom wash it. So it doesn't have and then they bring everything back cleaned and bagged up on Monday to go again. And that's just the only way you're going to have to do it. No showering, no using the bathrooms there. So they're going to have to get like porta potties, or because it's just it can't be if you're going to try to do this the right way, because as we're seeing in Major League Baseball, especially with the Marlins and now with the Cardinals, that thing can boom, it just starts in an instant. So imagine in high school where you're in the same locker room and you're in the same buses and all that stuff. That thing could spread real quick. So yeah, it's whatever they do anywhere, because you got to figure Tampa, St. Pete's in the same deal. Although you guys are a little bit more advanced at practicing, and these teams haven't even conditioned together. So that's pretty crazy. Tough. To throw them right back in the fray like that. Northwestern got in a little bit of trouble because they went out and as a group and practiced. So did American Heritage. But you know what? You take 15, 16, 17-year-old kids and you lock them away for 3 months. That's a lot to ask. And that's what's happening. And, and you can't blame them. I mean, they're kids. But now I think they see the reality. As soon as they didn't start working out in June and July, most of them saw the reality that, hey, you know what, if we're going to play, we're going to have to start abiding by some rules. If not, then especially these seniors. You know, these seniors were looking forward to it. You know, I've had a few high-profile kids who are probably not going to play this year. You know, they already got their schools, they already got their colleges picked out, and, you know, they already committed. And I've, you know, one today, his mom just called me, and he was at a private school, but she wants to enroll him in college early, so he's going to go to a public school, but not even play. You know, just go get I think he's got English 4 and one other test or one other course to get, and he'll just go into the college in January. You know, I mean, because he's secure in the fact that he's got his scholarship.
Right.
Which is smart.
It is.
You know, I mean, you know, it's not. It takes away from the team game, but you know, right now it kind of is every individual for themselves right now. So it's tough to say that, and I know you guys hate to hear things like that because you know you're preaching the team game. But right now, you know, these kids not a lot of the being a team game in March when they have nowhere to go. You know, so they have to look out after themselves.
Yeah, and we were having that conversation. One of our own, Gage Wilcox, he's going to Florida. It's already done. Yeah. And we were having that same conversation with him about, hey, no one's mad at you if you lock it up, and that's it. Because he's looking to graduate in December, like you mentioned. He's looking to graduate in December, so he can
go in January and start.
And start over there and start getting the program with them as soon as possible. So, and again, you have to look at this in an individual basis because that's what it becomes. That's what it is for these kids. So you just hope, because I know, you know, recently there's a couple reports coming out about these kids now starting having mental health issues because they're being, like to your point, cooped up in a house for 3 months. Yeah. It's such a team sport. I mean, these kids have been playing team sports since they were 5, 6 years old.
I agree.
7 every single year. Now 3 months are cooped up. Now it's 6 months are getting cooped up. It's starting to mess up the psyche of some of these young athletes, and you're starting to see that, you know, hey, let's go throw, let's do this, let's go do that, because they're tired of it.
Sure.
It's tough to tell these kids, hey, just stick it out a little longer. You know, we can see a potential finish line or when something hopefully can start. Hopefully, you know, I know. So what are your thoughts here? I know FHSA had a meeting today. There was a couple, you know, proposals that were put on the table. And I think next week is kind of the doomsday kind of week for decision here. What do you think? Or sorry, explain to the listeners, what are the options that are on the table so it's clear? And then where do you think we end up going?
I think what was it? It was a start in late September, early October, or start in November. Right. I think those are the only 2 things back on the table. And I think, you know, and I understand if you live in Blustein or if you live in, you know, Brad or Century or small, you know, these small areas, you know, I mean, even you guys a little bit north of you on the Nature Coast, a lot of those areas like Land O'Lakes, and they're all smaller areas, and they may not have those same cases as a Tampa or a St. Pete or a Miami or a Fort Lauderdale or Orlando and Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. You see, that's what I'm saying. So you're not on an even playing field. Yeah, there's a lot of those areas that are ready to go back yesterday, but as in the case of a lot of other areas, they're not. So I think what they've got to do is give these areas, these larger areas, and that's why I say, you know, listen, I understand that a lot of kids are going to miss out if they're a dual sport athlete on basketball. But if you're a senior, you've already played it for 2 years. Okay. Right. So, and the way I look at it, you know, I mean, wrestling too. I mean, wrestling, I think, because if a football season, as I proposed, would end up at the end of April, you know, I mean, wrestlers could, if you're a heavyweight, you could stick your butt in there. But I'm just saying, to me, this is such an event of a lifetime. Right. And for us to come out of it with nothing or no ramifications just wouldn't be natural. So, I mean, let's say you played football and then all of a sudden in October you were running and you tore your ACL. Well, if you're a basketball player, you're not playing basketball. So the way I look at it is you chalk it up to that for this year. I think that when the cycle comes and they get some type of a shot or some type of, something that would help, in combating this, then you're back a little bit on track. We're never going to be like it used to be.
Right,
I mean,
Sure.
and like I pointed out to everybody, I mean, look 10 years ago, on the streets of Seoul, South Korea, or look in China or India, and people were wearing masks. They do it because of the fact that it protects them maybe from the air. So that's going to be the norm. The people who have compromised immune systems or who have some type of flu or so, they'll wear a mask, and that's just the way it's going to be. Where things are going to change. Just after 9/11, things change. After World War I and II, they change. Everything changes, and this is a significant time in all our lives. I mean, this is a pandemic that just hasn't hit Hillsborough and Pinellas County and Dayton Broward. This has hit the world, and you look at it. You look at Kathmandu, Nepal. I mean, in London, England. I mean, this is all affecting them the same way as it is us, and we're used to, hurricanes and storms in South Florida. And when we get our power knocked out, it's just basically us. Yeah. But now it's everybody who's being affected. And it's kind of weird in South Florida not to be the only one that's getting affected by something, but it's, but truth be told, I think that everybody just has to be safe. They have to look after each other. And like I said the other day on Facebook, we are in this together, and we gotta, whether you live in the Panhandle or you live in South Florida or in West Florida, we're all in this darn thing together. So we got to be fair to what's fair for everybody. And if it means starting in November, so be it. I mean, because you'd really hate that. The thing that South Florida took exception to the FHSAA is they're Xing them out, but yet they won 7 of 8 state titles last year in football. And of course, the people in Tallahassee and Orlando don't want the South Florida teams in it, So
they're like, yes.
The same thing with like girls volleyball. Out of the 9 classes, South Florida won 6. So I mean, you got to understand, that it has to be fair for everybody. What's fair in Pensacola has got to be fair in Key West, and there's no other thing about it.
Right. It's crazy that it takes a pandemic to stop South Florida from winning championships.
That's
where we're at. That's what it took. How do you stop South Florida? Well, you just create a pandemic. That's it.
That's right.
Way to stop them.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Right. I'm sure they were thinking about that in Wuhan, China, when that happened.
Right.
I'm sure in that wet market with that bat, they go, St. Thomas is not going to win this year.
Not this year.
Yeah.
So on the show, we like to play a small game. If you're up for it, it's called This and That. We ask you a couple quick questions, and they're going to be weird. I'm not going to lie to you, Larry. They're not the best of questions, but they're here to just joke around a little bit and see what you think.
Fire away.
All right, here we go. All right, my first this and that question for you, sir, is trust me when I tell you, I'm going to try to hit it hard here. Which quarterback is the greatest you've ever seen?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I have to do this because George is a huge Tom Brady fan. So
you mean NFL too?
Yeah, NFL quarterback that you've ever seen, ever.
I think between Dan Marino and Joe Montana.
Oh, he hit me with. I'm a Dolphin fan, so I love Dan Marino. I love old Danny boy.
Hey, boy, you must be in heaven with Tom Brady over there now. Jeez,
He's been. Listen, you're on the show right now, but I get these text messages, alerts, updates. He's driving around hoping to see him at Berkeley practicing.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, he's loving it.
I'm sure you fly by one Buccaneer place quite a bit now. See if you can see over the fence.
Just see if I can see over the fence. I'm too short.
Just see if you can see Gronk.
All
right, go ahead, Raul. Fire away.
Go ahead.
This next one here, your question I got for you is who is, in all your years of recruiting and being involved in all the film you see, who is the top player you've seen come out of Florida?
Out of Florida, Emmitt Smith.
Really?
Great running back. His numbers in the NFL speak for themselves. Yeah. Just an outstanding. Best athlete I think I've seen was Deion Sanders. I mean, he was a freak. I mean, run the ball, defensive back, great baseball player, as you know. He played in Major League Baseball. But I think Emmitt Smith was the best. I think the best football player I ever saw was Herschel Walker. I went to see him play in Georgia, and he was a man-child. Imagine a guy 6'2", 220 pounds running a 9.7 100.
I saw him. I saw him on Average Joe versus Pros program, where he's older, a little bit retired, and he still looked like he could play. And he ran this guy over, and I felt so bad for that guy. Like, why would you even go against Herschel Walker, man?
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
you wouldn't.
It was pretty bad.
So I give you some OG answers here.
No,
so
that's
you get
perfect. We love it. We love it. Here's my next one for you: is hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's on a bun.
It's on bread.
It's on a bun.
It's on bread.
I can tell George doesn't agree.
No, George is on the fence. He's on the fence about it.
On the fence.
He's on the fence
but it's
about
like
it.
in between two. It's like in between the bread. So I think it is.
Yeah,
it's a sandwich.
absolutely.
See, for me, it's not open. To me, when I think about a bun, has two sides. It's open. It's not tied together.
Yeah, he's
It's tied. Yeah.
He wants to
is a pita bread a sandwich?
No, that's a great question.
Yeah, no, I don't consider that a sandwich.
Now I gotta add that to this and that. I gotta ask somebody else.
All right, this next one I got for you here. I want you to settle this debate. We've had this debate on the show quite a bit.
Right.
LeBron James or MJ? Who is your GOAT?
MJ, because I've had an opportunity to watch them both, live and seen them. I think MJ yeah, I just think MJ was just such a if you saw the special, you could see, you could understand. He was just a different person. I mean, he was so confident in everything he did. LeBron is too, but LeBron is it's a different era. Yeah. But couldn't go wrong with either. But I think MJ.
Okay. And the last question we have for you, and this might seem a little weird, so don't be mad at me.
Don't give me a Mons Venus question, please.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. The only Tampa listeners will know what you're talking about.
All right, yeah.
But my question is this: when you get dressed in the morning, do you put sock, shoe, or do you put sock, shoe? Sock, shoe,
shoe.
Yeah,
good guy.
Just so you know, Larry, there's a couple of psychopaths out here that do it the other way. And I told George, if I see that, I'm not staying in that room. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to do anything because I have guys in the locker room that would do sock, shoe. And I'm like, awesome. What are you doing? What is wrong with you?
That sounds like somebody has served some time, I think.
Exactly. Well, this is our section of this and that for the show, man. So, Larry, I want to tell you, if you don't mind telling the listeners where they can find you at, because, again, thank you so much for recruiting and helping get these kids recruited. I know a lot of our guys are appreciative of it. They've asked me, who's Larry Blustein? I said, man, he's the guru of this right now, and let's keep him in our good graces and keep it going.
Not a problem, man. I really enjoyed my time. My first and last name, Larry Blustein. That's my Twitter account. That's my Facebook account. And then I have a website for South Florida called LarryBlustein.com, Dade Broward County. If you want to find out about Dade and Broward, there's some really good stuff. And now I'm doing a new endeavor. It's a statewide website. It's called PrepRedZoneFlorida.com. And it's PrepRedZoneFL.com. In fact, I put out a lot of Tampa guys already. We've been doing it for a month, getting a lot of play. We have a couple of people writing for it, and so you can reach me all over the place. And give me a buzz if there's any kids that you want promoted. We'll do it. Put out since January 1st, 5,200 kids from the state of Florida.
Wow, that's a lot.
Every corner, right, freshman all the way to senior.
And if you're a kid in Florida, man, this is somebody you got to shoot a message to and give him your ultimate thanks, because
I'll get it out there.
I know I love it, man. And again, this is just one of many shows. We would love to have you come on back and talk more football.
Definitely. I enjoyed it a lot, guys.
We can elaborate on the beer cans in the background.
Yes, there they are.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. And we can just go ahead and shoot the Bobo a little bit more, man. So I really appreciate you, sir.
Good stuff. Okay, Raul. Thanks, George. I appreciate it.
No problem,
appreciate it, Larry. Thank you again.
Hey, On the Clock fans, that's unfortunately all the time we got for you guys. Thank you so much to our guests, Kristen and Truth Jones. I learned a lot about financial prosperity and making money, man. I didn't have no idea about those things. I'm definitely going to be looking into those classes. Also, I want to thank to my special friend, Larry Blustein. who has been helping get high school kids recruited the last 50 years and who's been doing it for free, no charge at all. I want to thank that man for coming on the show, and definitely everybody's allowed to come back whenever they want to, man.
It was great having both of them on the show. They're both helping people in different ways. Larry's helping kids get to college, and the Truth is helping individuals be more mind-savvy when it comes to finances. Thank you both for joining today's show. Find us on Facebook, on IG, on Twitter by simply searching On the Clock Radio. If you want to join the debate and join the conversations, find our Facebook group. It's On the Clock Radio Sports Talk. Until next time, you're on the clock.